Dendriella Denny Crumb was the proud proprietress of Rhythm and Brews, possibly the only potion shop in Greater Cackleshire where you could pay with both gold coins and streaming service gift cards. When she'd inherited her Aunt Sybil's old stone cottage, it had come with a wheezy iron cauldron, 3 broomsticks, all mid-flight recalls for splintering handles, and exactly 1 business lesson. People never really want potions. They want feelings bottled. Denny, being a millennial witch with an Ethernet cable braided neatly into her hair, took that lesson and updated it. Her specialty became mood-synced concoctions. Any customer entering her shop had to hand over 2 things. 1. A description of the result they wanted. Confidence at my cousin's wedding. The bravery to ask for a raise. The ability to attend a family reunion without primal screaming. And 2. A playlist that captured their current emotional state. The cauldron, a matte black vessel named Sir Stir-a-Lot, would thrum, hiss, gurgle, or occasionally beatbox along to the music, analyzing the vibes. Then Denny added reagents, moonlit nettles for optimism, pickled dragonfly wings for daring, a whisper of cloud for lightness, and the potion matched the customer's needs. This system did more than keep the rent paid. It gave Denny an excuse to live inside her 2 favorite spaces, the apothecary's lab and the internet's endless ocean of playlists with titles like Synthwave for Sad Blobs, Jazz for People Avoiding Email, and operatic bops that make you want to pay your taxes. Her familiar, a charcoal-feathered crow named Buffering, perched on the shelf above the counter and served as quality control. If Buffering croaked 3 times in rapid succession, Denny knew she'd slipped past Banger into Bummer and adjusted. On an overcast Tuesday that smelled of wet moss and fresh algorithms, Denny rolled up the shutters and flipped the sign from hexed to open. The bell jingled, a baritone note she'd charmed to imitate a French horn. First in was Old Man Grantham, who needed relief from his aching knees. He plonked a thumb drive on the oak counter. Playlists titled Groaning But Hopeful, he informed her. Sir Stir-a-Lot bobbed happily to the gentle acoustic guitar and light snare. A dash of ground willow bark, a swirl of molten copper leaf, and the cauldron produced a teal fizzing salve. Grantham left beaming, knees already cracking less. Next, a teenager called Juniper arrived, sporting headphones the size of dinner plates. Her playlist? Angry Cottagecore Screamo! Buffering caught an appreciative, finally, some energy. Denny turned the volume up to 11, braced against the cauldron's percussion, and brewed a confidence tonic, tinted punk pink. Juniper downed it, belched floral smoke, and strutted out ready to obliterate stage fright at her open mic poetry slam. So far, so harmonious. Then the door opened again with a reluctant squeak. The newcomer was a bespectacled man in a charcoal suit, hair parted so crisply it qualified as a paper cut. He clutched a pale green messenger bag, out of which protruded a regulation clipboard. His overall vibe reminded Denny of tax season, but wetter. Hello? He said, adjusting his glasses twice in the span of 1 syllable. My name is Fabian T. Pumpernickel. I was referred by, an online review forum. 5 cauldrons out of 5? Welcome, Fabian T. Pumpernickel, Denny chirped. What feeling may I decant for you today? He exhaled like a kettle. I need to make a presentation tomorrow to the Globular Bead Distribution Board. And well, I get rather clammy under fluorescent lighting. The word perspiration understates it. I would like a potion for calm, composed eloquence. Or failing that, something that allows me to deliver a PowerPoint without dissolving into a puddle. Presentation poise? Classic. She slid a crystal vial forward. Playlist? Pumpernickel extracted a sleek phone, thumbs fumbling. Right. Yes. It's titled Relaxing Tunes for Existential Angst. He hit play. Nothing emerged. Buffering cocked his head, so Stir-a-Lot emitted a hollow gulp, like a bottle trying to swallow itself. Pumpernickel turned his volume up. Still silence. The shop's shelves rattled with anticipation. The hush so thick you could knit a sweater out of it. Then, at once, sound. But not music. At least not any earthly strain. It was as though every genre shoved past every other, each note, elbowing, tripping, screaming, me first. A marching band collided with whale song, and both were immediately steamrolled by 8-bit techno bagpipes. Within seconds, the playlist ramped from lullaby to thrash metal Gregorian chant, spliced with motivational speeches played backward. Denny's eyebrows aimed for low orbit. What exactly is on that playlist? Pumpernickel squeaked. I used a random generator that merges multiple, relaxing playlists for maximum efficiency. Buffering's caw sounded suspiciously like a laugh cough. The crow flapped to the far corner, talons gripping a beam marked, in case of sonic emergencies. Perch here. Sir Stir-a-Lot vibrated. The cauldron's rim rippled, as though it were a speaker diaphragm. All around, potion bottles chimed in sympathetic resonance. The shelf of elixirs for awkward silences began rattling ironically. Okay, Denny muttered. I can handle eclectic. She tossed in chamomile petals for calm, powdered agate for confidence, and a swirl of distilled moonbeam for clarity. Whoomp! The cauldron's contents geysered upward in a spiraling corkscrew. The mixture snapped itself into floating cubes, each pulsing to a different beat from Pumpernickel's sonic roller coaster. Denny swiped at them with a ladle, but they dodged, rejoining the mass with obnoxious popping sounds. Fabian! She yelled over the discordant cacophony of a tuba masquerading as a dolphin. Pause it! I can't find the phone. He patted his pockets frantically. The messenger bag vibrated like a live ferret, and the playlist blasted on at double tempo. Suddenly, the cauldron emitted a grinding squeal, metal protesting, rivets popping. Sir Stir-a-Lot was buffering, lagging, then freezing like a computer on the blue screen of cauldron death. One side drooped, the iron sagging as if it lost surface tension in reality itself. Oh, broomsticks, Denny breathed. It's going to crash. Crock! Sir Stir-a-Lot split down the middle. Potion cubes spilled onto the stone floor, still pulsing to their own competing rhythms, dissolving into fizzy puddles that skittered like sentient soda. A bottle of anti-awkward spritz toppled off its hook, spraying lavender-scented fog and muttering polite greetings in 12 languages. The lights flickered. A stack of recipe scrolls rustled and took flight, flapping around the room like startled pigeons. Denny snapped her fingers, conjuring a containment glyph, but the glyph tried to synchronize with the playlist's tempo and immediately broke apart into treble clefs. That was when the door swung open again. In strolled Tilda and Hank, a jovial couple seeking a second-date courage potion. They took in the sight. Cauldron hemorrhaging neon goo, pitchy choir of glass, playlist screaming operatic dubstep about the futility of dental floss. Denny wielding a ladle as if it were a broadsword. We can come back later, Tilda offered helpfully. Hank nodded. Yeah, looks like you're upgrading your software. They backed out, dinging the French horn bell. Denny bit her lip. Buffering! The crow swooped down, snatched Pumpernickel's rogue phone from the messenger bag, and dropped it into Denny's palm. She stabbed pause. Instant hush. The potion blobs plopped to the floor with anticlimactic splats. A single jar rolled off a shelf, smashed, and sighed. Well, that was unfortunate. In a very British accent, Fabian stood trembling in the sudden quiet. Shoes soaked neon green. I don't think that worked. My cauldron just rage quit existence, Denny said, staring at the split iron. Steam drifted from the crack like a last expletive. Sisteralot has never crashed before. Buffering landed on the broken rim, picked up a loosened rivet, and dropped it with a tinny clang, as if confirming time of death. Then he uttered a single forlorn, "Cow!" Then he pinched the bridge of her nose. Right. New plan. Fabian, I'll craft your potion manually. Old school. No playlist. But I'm still clammy. Take this. She grabbed a vial of anti-awkward, shoved it at him. Spritz, thrice. Vigorously pat your cheeks, and imagine everyone in the conference room is a nicely supportive turnip. He blinked, but complied, spraying himself until lavender vapor cloaked him. He inhaled. His shoulders loosened a centimeter. "Thank you," he murmured. Then, tiptoeing around fizzing puddles, he left. The bell's French horn gave a sympathetic wah-wah. Alone with buffering, Denny surveyed the carnage. The floor glistened in tie-dye swirls. Half her inventory hummed minor keys, and her cauldron now resembled an open clam. Well, she sighed. That playlist had more conflicting emotions than a soap opera Sharknado. Buffering pecked at the brake, squawked, and gestured with a wing toward the back room. A gesture meaning, in familiar bird shorthand, could try the spare cauldron, boss. The spare is Aunt Sybil's Mark I model, Denny reminded him. The one that overheats if you play anything faster than a dirge. Buffering shrugged. A rivulet of neon fizz trickled by. He hopped over it with the dignity of a waiter, avoiding spilled soup. Denny rolled up her sleeves. All right, Featherbutt, let's salvage. First we mop this gloop before it eats through to the cheese cellar. They worked. Denny chanted minor tidy spells. Buffering fetched sawdust. The rebellious potion puddles attempted to burrow under doorways, but she herded them with a broom and chanted to play slapstick slide whistle each time it touched the floor, which at least kept morale up. By mid-afternoon, the cottage didn't look like a unicorn's stomach lining anymore. Next, fetch Aunt Sybil's cauldron from the shed. Mark I was squat, copper green with tarnish, and portlier than Sir Stir-a-Lot. Denny and Buffering rolled it in on a dolly. Its side bore an inscription in cursive runes. If this kettle's rockin', someone's probably shredding. She set it atop the fire pit, adjusted the flue, and whispered, "Be gentle," like introducing a nanny to hyperactive triplets. Then came the first test brew. Simple digestive aid requested via email from a warlock in Wellingford. Mood playlist, bored stomach blues. Gentle harmonica. 62 beats per minute. Perfectly safe. She lowered volume to a polite hush. Added fennel seeds. Charmed ginger. A shimmer of honesty. Helps the intestines speak truth to burritos. And stirred clockwise. Mark I gurgled obligingly. Within minutes, a golden tonic surfaced. No inadvertent stage-diving cubes. Success. "Great," Denny told Buffering. "We're back." The crow wagged a tail feather that said, "For how long?" Soon the doorbell blared. French horn fanfare again. A stream of regulars trickled in. There was Mrs. Pemberley seeking an anti-migraine mist, playlist, whale noises and harpsichord. Then the Morris twins wanting mirror image hair dye spells, playlist, pop songs that spell sisterhood in Morse code. Mark I handled them all, though it wheezed if volume crept above mezzo piano. Still, the looming problem loomed. Sir Stir-a-Lot lay deceased on the floor like a giant cast-iron clam. You couldn't keep a modern potion shop running on Aunt Sybil's antique backup, especially when customers were used to heavy-bass transformative bops. That evening, Denny closed shop early and sat on an upturned crate, facing the fallen cauldron. Candlelight flickered over the cracked metal like lamplight over a tombstone. Buffering perched nearby, silent, I should have installed a limiter charm, she muttered. I got cocky. Buffering emitted a low croon. Comfort mode. An idea sparked. Cocky, yes, but also innovative. Why cling to one cauldron when she'd already merged magic with modern tech? Maybe the next upgrade wasn't a cauldron at all. Maybe it was. Multiple cauldrons working in sync, each tuned to a musical frequency band like audio mixers. She grinned. We need parts. Buffering fluffed his feathers, always in favor of a scavenger hunt. They spent 3 nights raiding salvage yards, bidding on enchanted cookware forums, and bartering with goblin tinkerers. By moonlight, they lugged home component after component. Stainless steel stockpots, a bronze wok rumored to belong to an ex-pirate chef, and a set of nesting cauldrons calibrated to the pentatonic scale. In the workshop, Denny chalked runes on the floor, mapping where treble frequencies would flow, where bass would ground. She coded a new playlist analyzer, using both her wand and a borrowed laptop. Buffering tested sound levels, squawking if decibels risked meltdown. Finally, on the 4th dawn, they unveiled the Hydra system. 5 smaller cauldrons arrayed like petals around a central crucible. Each cauldron bore a sigil representing an EQ band, from sub-bass to airy highs. The central brain, a crystal orb, regulated overlap, so no rogue playlist could spike any single pot past capacity. Denny wiped soot from her cheeks. Moment of truth. They selected the most chaotic playlist in her entire library. Lo-fi, Viking trance for studying. Buffering hit play. Deep drums rumbled in the sub-bass cauldron. Flutes trilled up the high-end pot. The system pulsed light across runes, but held steady. No quiver, no splitting seams. Exhilaration bubbled in Denny's chest. She tossed in test ingredients. Essence of focus, sprig of determination, drop of midnight oil. The Hydra danced to the music, each petal pot flashing its assigned color. Moments later, a unified stream poured into the central crucible and overflowed into flask after flask, labeled concentrated study juice. No explosions, no cube rebellion. Buffering whooped, or as close as a crow could. A triumphant caw-caw! Rhythm and Brews reopened Monday with a chalkboard outside. Now featuring Hydra-calibrated potions. Guaranteed playlist proof. Word spread like gossip on a broomstick. Customers flocked, partly to gawk at the multi-cauldron setup. It looked like a steampunk flower auditioning for a rave. Partly because Denny offered a crash insurance discount. If your playlist broke anything, you'd receive lifetime refills. People love risking free refills. Pumpernickel returned, timidly, clutching a revised playlist titled Mild Optimism, Single Genre Only. He eyed the Hydra with the wary respect of a man meeting the dog that once chased him. Denny smiled. Ready for round 2? As I'll ever be. The playlist featured gentle piano and lake-lapping water. The Hydra hummed like a cat. Minutes later, Denny handed Fabian a silvery draft. He sipped, stood taller, and, miracle of miracles, looked merely dew-kissed, not drenched. I have a presentation in 2 hours, he said, voice steady, and I believe I shall convincingly articulate quarterly bead projections. He left, shoulders squared. Through the window, then he saw him practicing a confident wave to imaginary board members. Later that day, a gaggle of college students requested a finals week defibrillator potion, accompanied by a playlist that began with Gregorian chant and ended with speed metal kazoo covers. The Hydra system handled it unflinchingly. By closing, the tip jar overflowed. Buffering hopped around inside, like Scrooge McDuck in coins. He surfaced with a scrap of paper, a review someone dropped in. 5 cauldrons out of 5, it read, with doodles of little Hydra heads wearing headphones. Denny taped it above the counter, next to a photo of Sir Stir-a-Lot in healthier days. That night, while she washed vials in lavender suds, she mused that progress is often born from catastrophe. The crash hurt, yes, but it taught her that stuffing every emotion into one vessel was risky. People are symphonies of contradictions. The equipment ought to reflect that. Buffering glided down and perched on her shoulder. She fed him a candied cricket, then lifted her wand to dim the lights. In the darkened shop, the 5 cauldrons glowed faintly, each pulsing to its own heartbeat, like lanterns awaiting dawn. Denny whispered, "Thanks, Sir Stir-a-Lot. Your sacrifice upgraded the soundtrack." A breeze rustled the herbs drying on the rafters. Somewhere among them, a soft metallic creak almost sounded like a satisfied beatbox farewell. Denny smiled, locked the door, and went upstairs, already brainstorming the next innovation. Bluetooth broomsticks, synced to driving playlists. But that, she thought, is a tune for tomorrow.